Next World workflows provide powerful tools for orchestrating processes directly within your applications. This demonstration shows how to enhance a simple workflow with conditional and approval logic. We'll show you how to make a basic workflow more robust for any scenario you need. In this video, we will explain the workflow change we'll make and review the logic block used to support it. Add this conditional logic to a Next World workflow. Launch an application to see the new workflow in action. Add approval logic to a Next World workflow. And finally, launch the same application to see the updated workflow in action. Are you ready? Time to explain our workflow change and review the logic block used to support it. In the next section, we'll build a conditional workflow that allows employees at Powder Ski Rentals to track returned equipment as either damaged or available. When attached to a workflow, a conditional logic block acts as a decision point, allowing the process to move from one starting state to different possible outcomes. We'll use the conditional logic block. NS Demo Powder Ski Rentals Damage Logic. Before connecting it to the workflow, let's take a quick look at how it works. When attached to a workflow, a conditional logic block evaluates defined criteria to route the process to the appropriate outcome. In this case, the logic checks whether the equipment needs repair. If NS Demo needs repair is set to true, the conditional logic returns an error. This signals the workflow to follow the error branch, continuing along the repair path. If the equipment does not need repair, the logic completes without error, and the workflow routes the equipment back to an available state. In the next section, we'll add this conditional logic block to a Next World workflow. We'll expand the basic workflow created in the last video, NS Demo Powder Ski Rentals workflow. We'll walk through how it's configured to include conditional logic. This identifies when returned Powder Ski Rentals equipment is damaged and needs repair. We can do this by attaching our conditional logic block to one of the workflow transitions. First, we'll identify the states available in this workflow. Select View State Lookup. Then select NS Demo Powder Ski Rentals workflow states. A list of available states appears. Note that we're reviewing this state lookup because it was expanded since the last video. The first three states are familiar, new, available, and checkout. In addition, we've recently added the states damaged, retired, and repaired. These states will play an important role in the workflow we're about to build. Next, select the NS Demo Powder Ski Rentals workflow tab to return to the workflow. Under Transitions, select Add Transition. In the window that appears, set the type to Conditional. Next, set From State to Checkout and From State Type to Inactive. Under Conditional Type, select Logic Block and then choose Apply. Note that we are selecting logic block here because later we will tie it to the logic block that we showed you earlier. In the viewer under Selected Transition, you'll see a visual representation of the checked out state transitioning to a logic block that branches into two possible paths, success and error. At the moment, both branches lead to placeholders because we haven't yet selected the workflow states and state types. To link our existing logic block, go to the Properties panel. Under Transition, locate Logic Block and enter NS Demo Powder Ski Rentals Damage Logic. Recall that this conditional logic block acts as a decision point in the workflow, checking whether the equipment needs repair. Next, the From state is already configured, but we still need to define the success and error branches. Under Logic Block Success branch, select Available and Active. This means that if Needs Repair is not selected in the application, the workflow follows its normal path and the skis are returned to Available, ready to check out again. Then, under Logic Block Error Branch, select Damaged and Inactive. This represents our new flow. If Needs Repair is selected in the application, the workflow is rerouted and the skis are flagged as damaged. With the conditional logic block now connected to the workflow, select Save and Stay. Time to launch an application to see the new workflow in action. Now that we've added conditional logic to our workflow, let's put it to the test at Powder Ski Rentals. A customer is returning skis that were previously checked out. Notice the checkout status to the left of Actions. To begin, select Check In. Then, Save and Stay. Because no repair indicators were selected, the workflow follows the standard path. Notice the available status. Now let's look at the other possible outcome. This time, select Returned and Needs Repair. Then choose Check In. And Save and Stay. Notice the damage status. This is the conditional logic block in action, directing the workflow down different paths based on the information entered. Now we'll add approval logic to this same NextWorld workflow. This allows us to require sign-off within the application, potentially from another user, before the process can move forward. When equipment is checked in as damaged at Powder Ski Rentals, a technician attempts the repair. Once the repair is complete, the equipment must be approved by a supervisor before it can be marked repaired and returned to service. If the supervisor approves the repair, the equipment becomes available again. If the repair is rejected, the technician must try again or the equipment may eventually be retired. We'll manage this process using an approval logic block, which will now connect to our existing workflow. We'll walk through this in 3 parts. First, we will set up the post-run logic. Next, we'll show you how to queue a workflow transition using a logic block. Finally, we'll demonstrate how to add approval to the workflow. First, let's set up the post-run logic. We'll start by opening the workflow again. NS Demo Powder Ski Rentals Workflow. Under Transitions, select Add Transition. In the window, set type to Standard. Set from State and State Type to Damaged and Inactive. Set to State and State Type to Repaired and Active. Select Apply, and then Trigger with Transition Trigger set to Manual. Scroll to Post-Run Logic blocks. Post-run logic allows additional logic to execute after a transition. Next, let's queue a workflow transition using a logic block. We'll enter the NS Demo Powder Ski Rentals Approval Logic block. This prompts the system to route the workflow for supervisor approval after the technician completes a repair. When a technician selects Repaired in the application, the workflow triggers this logic and routes the process to the next logic block controlled transition for approval. Now we'll create that transition. Select Add Transition again. Set from State to Repaired and from State Type to Active. Set to State to Supervisor Approval and to State Type to Pending. Select Apply, then choose Trigger. Under Transition Trigger, select Logic Block Controlled. This tells the workflow that the approval logic block will route records to this transition when a technician selects Repaired, sending the request to the supervisor for review. Finally, we'll demonstrate how to add approval to the workflow. Simply select Add Transition once more. Set type to Conditional. Set from State to Supervisor Approval, and from State Type to Pending. Note: Pending is a special state type used specifically for approvals. An approval transition cannot be saved unless the pending state type is included. In Properties under Approved branch, set toState and state type to available and active. Under rejected branch, set toState and state type to damaged and inactive. Under recalled branch, set toState and state type to damaged and inactive. In the viewer under selected transition, you can see the workflow diagram updating to reflect the approval process. Once everything is configured, select Save and Stay. Now that we've added approval logic, let's launch the same application to see the updated workflow in action. We'll pick up where we left off earlier. The Powder Ski Rentals employee has checked in a pair of skis and selected Returned and Needs Repair, resulting in a damaged status. This is where the new approval logic begins. The technician repairs the equipment. Under Actions, they select Transition to Repaired, then choose Save and Stay. The workflow now moves to supervisor approval. After examining the skis, the supervisor selects Supervisor Approval, adds a comment, and chooses Approve. The skis are now marked available, meaning they're ready to rent again. Now let's look at a different outcome. Once again, the skis are marked damaged, and the technician selects Transition to Repaired, followed by Save and Stay. The supervisor reviews the skis but determines they are still unsafe. They select Supervisor Approval, enter a reason, and choose Reject. The workflow returns the skis to the damaged state so the technician can attempt another repair. After the technician successfully fixes the skis, they transition them to repaired again. With supervisor approval, the skis once again become available. In this video, we explained the workflow change we made and reviewed the logic block used to support it, added conditional logic to that next world workflow, launched an application to see the new workflow in action, added approval logic to a next world workflow, and finally, launched the same application to see the updated workflow in action. Next world workflows provide powerful tools for orchestrating processes directly within your applications. In this demonstration, you've seen how conditional and approval logic can enhance a simple workflow and support more advanced processes. With these tools, you can build smarter workflows that keep your applications running beautifully.